What happens when an entitled influencer tries to humiliate some old man in denim at a luxury restaurant only to discover she's messing with Chuck Norris himself? Trust me, you won't believe how this ends. But before we dive, and let me know in the comments where you're watching. From now, picture this: it's a quiet evening at the Golden Fork, Dallas's newest luxury restaurant, the kind of place where the chandeliers probably cost more than most cars, and where getting a reservation is harder than finding a politician who keeps their promises. In a peaceful corner, Chuck Norris sits alone at his table, quietly enjoying his steak and occasionally glancing at a book of quotes he brought along. He's dressed simply, just a denim shirt and jeans, nothing flashy, nothing pretentious, just a man enjoying his dinner. That's when she walks in. Madison Blake, or at Maddie Luck's life as her millions of followers know her, bursts through the door like she owns a place. One phone live streaming, another in her hand for texting, her Louis Vuitton jacket practically screaming, "Look at me." Her high heels click-clack across the marble floor as she talks loudly into her phone. Oh my God, you guys won't believe where I am right now. This place is like totally exclusive. They usually have a 3-month waiting list, but when they heard I was coming, she pauses her live stream just long enough to snap at a waiter who dared to ask if she had a reservation. "Do you know who I am?" she demands, waving her phone like a royal scepter. The other diners exchange knowing looks. Chuck just takes another bite of his steak, seemingly amused by the spectacle, but Madison isn't done, as she's led to her table specially requested for its perfect lighting. She spots Chuck in the background of her shot, her perfectly contoured face twist into a scowl. GH, who let him in here? She stage whispers to her assistant through her AirPods. This is supposed to be a luxury restaurant he's totally ruining my aesthetic. Little does Madison know, she's about to learn a lesson about real influence, respect, and why you should never judge a book by its denim cover. Madison's frustration grows as she keeps trying to find the perfect angle for her video, but no matter how she positions her phone, there's Chuck in the background calmly eating his dinner. This is impossible, she huffed, dramatically dropping into her chair. "I can't work like this." That's when she decides to take matters into her own hands, strutting over to Chuck's table, both phones at the ready. She puts on her best customer is always right smile. "Excuse me," she says, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Would you mind moving to another table? You're kind of ruining the ambience of my shoot." Chuck looks up from his book, taking a slow sip of his iced tea. His eyes have this glimmer that suggests he's seen this type of behavior before. "I'm trying to create content here," she continues, her tone getting sharper. "Do you even know what that means? Do you know who I am?" Chuck sets down his glass. "No, ma'am, I can't say that I do. I'm Madison Blake. I have 2 million followers." She practically shouts the number, waving her phone like it's evidence in court. "I make more money in a month than you probably see in a year." The restaurant has gone quiet. Other diners are watching now, some already pulling out their phones. Chuck glances around the room, then back at Madison. With the calmest smile you've ever seen, he pulls out his own phone. 2 million, you say? That's impressive. He pulls up Instagram. "Mind if I check something?" "Whatever." Madison rolls her eyes. "Just move your table." "Well," Chuck says, showing her his screen. "Looks like I have 2.2 million followers myself, so I think you're 200,000 shy." Madison's face drops. She grabs the phone, her hands shaking. Tears of rage well up in her eyes as she sees the verified to Chuck Norris account. This has to be fake, she stammers, but the truth is right there in front of Harrow. "About that table," Chuck says, standing up with his plate. "You're right, I should move." And before Madison can process what's happening, Chuck calmly walks over and sits down right at her table. "Problem solved," he says, cutting into his stack. "Now I'm not in your background anymore." The look on Madison's face, well, if looks could kill Chuck Norris, would have had to roundhouse kick them away, but this was just the beginning. What happened next would turn This entitled influencer's world upside down. How dare you? Madison's voice rises to a pitch that makes wine glasses tremble. This is my table. Do you have any idea how much I paid for the specific spot? Chuck just continues enjoying his meal, seemingly entertained by her increasing frustration. Actually, he says between bites, I believe it's the restaurant's table. Madison whips out both phones, her fingers trembling with rage. Oh my, followers are going to love this. I'm going live right now to show everyone how this old man in denim is harassing me live from the Golden Fork. Everyone, she announces to her phone. You won't believe what's happening. This disrespect, respectful boomer is literally ruining my sponsored dinner. But something unexpected starts happening in her live stream. The comments aren't quite what she anticipated. Wait, is that Chuck Norris? OMG, Madison, stop, show some respect. Chuck Norris is a legend. Madison's face flushes as she scrolls through the comments. Nobody even knows who you are anymore. She snaps at Chuck. You're just some outdated has been yet. Here you are, Chuck replies calmly. Getting upset over has been with more followers than you. That does it. Madison storms toward the manager's office, her designer heels clicking against the floor like angry exclamation points. Manager, I demand to speak to your manager right now. I'm going to have you thrown out, she yells back at Chuck, and then I'm going to destroy this place's reputation. One post from me and this restaurant is done. Chuck takes another bite of his steak, calling after her. You might want to check those follower counts again before making threats. Just saying, the other diners are fully invested now. Phones recording everything. This isn't just dinner anymore. It's dinner and a show, and everyone knows they're watching something that's about to go viral for all the right and wrong reasons. Little does Madison know she's about to face something far worse than a clever comeback from Chuck Norris. Mr. Thompson. Madison bursts into the manager's office. There's a man out there who needs to be removed immediately. But as she turns to lead the manager to Chuck's table, well, her table, she notices something strange. Mr. Thompson has stopped dead in his tracks, his eyes wide with recognition. Is that Chuck Norris? The manager's voice is filled with, oh, ma'am, do you have any idea who you're complaining about? Oh, not you too. Madison rolls her eyes. He's just some old guy in denim. Who? Just some old guy. Mr. Thompson's face turns serious. Miss Blake, that man is an American icon while you're busy making videos about overpriced coffee and designer handbags. Chuck Norris has spent decades inspiring millions, supporting countless charities, and embodying the values that made this country great. Madison tries to interrupt, but the manager isn't finished. You know what's truly ironic, he continues, his voice rising with passion. You came in here flashing your designer clothes and follower count, looking down on a man who has more real influence in his little finger than most people achieve in a lifetime. Money can't buy class, Miss Blake, and followers don't equal respect. The restaurant has gone completely silent. Everyone is watching as the manager delivers his speech. Phone still recording, but I'm a paying customer. Madison stammers, tears of humiliation starting to form. Not anymore, Mr. Thompson says firmly. The Golden Fork reserves the right to refuse service to anyone who disrespects our guests. I'm going to have to ask you to leave. You can't do this to me. I'll ruin you. You'll what? Chuck's voice carries across the restaurant as he stands up. Post about it to your 2 million followers. I might know 400,000 people who disagree with your take. The entire restaurant erupts in applause and laughter. Madison's face turns bright red as she realizes her live stream is still running, capturing every moment of her humiliation. This isn't over, she shouts, grabbing her designer bags. You'll regret this, all of you. But as she storms toward the exit, Chuck's calm voice follows her. The only regret here is that someone with so much influence never learned the meaning of respect. The door slams behind her, leaving a moment of perfect silence before, but just when everyone thought Madison had learned her lesson, her sense of entitlement proved otherwise. The moment the door slams behind Madison, the restaurant erupts in cheers and applause. Chuck, ever humble, just raises his glass in a subtle toast and returns to his dinner. But the real show is happening on social media. Madison's own live stream has become a viral sensation, just not in the way she intended. Comments are pouring in faster than autumn leaves in New England. This is why we love Chuck Norris. Money can't buy class the way he handled that with such grace. Chuck is still the get. The manager approaches Chuck's table, his original table, which he's returned to with a mix of respect and amusement. Mr. Norris, sir, your meal is on the house tonight. Chuck shakes his head with a smile. No need for that, but I would appreciate my usual table back, he says, standing up from Madison's abandoned content corner as Chuck returns to his quiet corner. His phone buzzes. The sponsor who was supposed to work with Madison has already reached out to him instead, but Chuck just chuckles and puts his phone away. He didn't handle the situation for clout or contracts. He did it because sometimes people need to learn that respect isn't measured in followers or dollars. Outside, through the restaurant's windows, they can see Madison having a full meltdown on the sidewalk, still trying to salvage her dignity by recording an angry rant for her followers. But even she knows it's too late. The damage is done. Hours later, Madison posts what she calls an apology video, but it only makes things worse. Sitting in her luxury car, wearing even more expensive designer clothes than before she starts her video. So, I guess I should address what happened at the Golden Fork. She rolls her eyes, checking her reflection in her phone. First of all, I was literally attacked by these boomers who don't understand how content creation works, and yes, that includes their precious Chuck Norris. She flips her hair, clearly more concerned with how she looks than showing any genuine remorse. And for everyone saying I should respect my elders or whatever, hello, this is 2025. Nobody cares about some old action movies anymore. I make more in one sponsored post than he probably made in his whole career. But it gets worse. She continues, and honestly, all these Chuck Norris fans in my comments, you're just jealous of my success. I worked hard for my followers. Do you know how many filters I had to test to find my perfect aesthetic? How many hours I spent learning the latest TikTok dances? Then comes the final nail in her coffin. So, yeah, if that's your idea of a legend, keep it. I'd rather be canceled than pretend to respect someone just because they're famous from 100 years ago or whatever in that restaurant. Trust me, once I'm done with my exposed video about their horrible treatment of content creators, she never finishes that sentence because her phone rings. It's her agent. The look on her face says it all as she learns that 3 more major brands have dropped her, and her premium influencer network has suspended her membership back at the Golden Fork. Chuck finishes his meal in peace, leaving behind not just a generous tip, but also a lesson about the difference between influence and character that the staff would never forget. Before leaving, he signs a quote into the restaurant's guest book: true influence isn't measured by followers, but by the lives you touch. With respect and kindness. As he steps out into the Texas evening, his phone buzzes one last time. It's a notification that his follower count has jumped to 2.4 million. Not that he's counting. A young waiter rushes out after him. Sir, what should we say if she tries to come back? Chuck turns with that signature smile. Tell her what my mother always said: manners are free, but their value is priceless. And that, my friends, is how Chuck Norris taught us all that in a world obsessed with followers, it's more important to follow your principles. If you enjoyed this story of respect triumphing over entitlement, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe, and please share your thoughts. What do you think Chuck Norris represents to America? Do you believe he's still relevant, or has he become outdated? For me, he's a living legend and always will be. Until next time, this is Big signing off.